Every successful person got there by going through tough times. Success is a hard-ass teacher who likes to knock you around along that journey. You know, it takes real guts to not give up and keep going. We'll hear stories about failures and how these leaders flip the script to create success. I'm John Schultz. Join me and let's discover how success is never really overnight. Welcome to the John Schultz podcast. We're very excited to have an amazing guest today, Steve Schirripa. He's best known for portraying Bobby Bacala on The Sopranos and Detective Anthony Abitamarco on Blue Bloods. Two great shows. Sopranos, the best show probably ever on TV, ever. And I'm a Jersey guy, so I'm a little biased, but I still believe it. He's a producer and host of two investigation discovery series, Karma's a Bitch, which is a truth and nothing personal. He also co-hosts a podcast with Michael Imperioli called Talking Sopranos. 5 million downloads. That's like ridiculous.
20 million.
20 million now. 20 million. Listen, it's ridiculous, whatever it is. It's my dream to have that many downloads. Started as an entertainment director at the Riviera Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas and had cameo appearances with comedians. Decided to become an actor when he was an extra in Martin Scorsese's Casino. Love that movie. You've appeared in many shows since, Law and Order, SVU, Columbo. Oh my God, I love that. It's my wife's favorite. The King of Queens, George Lopez, The Tonight Show. You've authored the Goomba series of books and co-authored two more, including the 2021 release of the New York Times bestseller, Woke Up This Morning, The Definitive Oral History of The Sopranos. Love that. You got to wake up to do anything, right? So that's a good title. I love it. A line of vegan and organic pasta sauces, healthy. Trying to make Italian healthy. I love that. And born in the great place of Brooklyn and one of four siblings. And here you are on my show. How lucky am I? How you doing, Steve?
Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you. So excited to do this, being a Jersey guy and watching your show. My whole family loves your show. We've obviously come to see your live shows as well, which are terrific. I advise everyone to go see them. So for my audience, we're all about it looks good when you make it, but how do you get there? We know it's hard. We know it takes time, and it's a myth that things happen overnight. I always call myself a 30-year overnight success, right? Because it takes that long. So bring us back to little Steve. Like, what did little Steve do when he first got into business? And were you always wanting to be an entertainer? How'd this all form for you?
Yeah, no. I grew up in Brooklyn. I grew up on welfare.
Wow.
My father was a shitbag, didn't provide. I had 5 kids in the family. We lived in a little apartment in Bensonhurst, in a nice neighborhood at least. Went to Brooklyn College, graduated, played basketball there. I was a captain my last 2 years.
Wow.
Sports kind of kept me out of the fray because back then, in the 60s and 70s, that part of Brooklyn was a big mob area, very, very much so. Probably the biggest mob enclave in all of New York City at the time. They were everywhere. You knew them. They were your baseball coach. They were your friend's uncle. They were your friend's dad. They were just guys on the block, I grew up with guys. Some became doctors and lawyers, and some became mob guys. I played Little League with a guy that did 25 years for murder. You just knew them. You went to elementary school with them. You went to junior high school with them. You went to high school with them, And then at some point, people veer off, Probably around the high school age somewhere, somebody goes right, somebody goes left. So I was there. I graduated from Brooklyn College, tried out for an Israeli basketball team when I graduated, and they wanted me to work on a kibbutz, which I did not want to do. And a buddy of mine moved to Vegas, and he said, come out, I could get you a job. So I moved to Vegas, and I had a job delivering pizza. I'm a college graduate. I'm delivering pizza. I'm making about 400 a week cash at the time. We're living in a house, four of us. The rent's for nothing. Every night, my pay, $20, I put in the drawer, and then I fuck the rest off. The rest was spending money. And we're not out night after night after night, enjoying everything Las Vegas offers a guy of 22, 23 years old. I get a job at Paul Anka's club as a bouncer. I go there. I apply for the job. I get the job. You're wearing a tuxedo now. Guy from Brooklyn, tuxedo. There's celebrities. There's sports stars. O.J. Simpson, Paul Anka, showgirls. Now it's a whole nother thing. You're going, how the hell did I get here? I mean, last year I was hanging out on a street corner. So that was opened my eyes to like, wow. And Vegas was small then, 350,000 people. You kind of knew everybody. Everybody came through the club. You know what I mean? Like the head dealers and mob guys. The guy from Casino, Tony Spilaccio, was a friend of mine, and Johnny Russo, who's still a friend of mine. He was in The Godfather. He was there all the time, and it was a whole different world, And they were mostly all older than me. So I got into that world, nightclub business. And then I got a job at another place, which was open 24 hours a day. Place was wild. You had celebrities, pimps, drug dealers, 24 hours a day. When I would leave, I would work 1 at night to 9 in the morning. And when I would leave at 9 a.m., the dance floor was packed. And then I would go out. So, like I said, having the time of my life, just incredible. I mean, it was like, this is what I've dreamed about, honestly, And so, then
what's wild though is like you just left. You just I
just left, and
it was like kibbutz or Vegas. How the hell? Like, how did that even happen?
The thing was this, John. This was the thing, and I was honest. I was never a bullshit guy. Like what you saw is what you saw. And even now,
I feel that about you. You're the best.
This is it. So even then, I look you in the eye. My word is my bond. I tell you something, it's true. Like me or not, one thing I'm not is a liar. Right. And I think that helped me all the way through, because now I'm dealing with, people that I never dealt with before. I had, jobs in Brooklyn, cleaning chimneys and doing this and doing that. I had all kinds of different jobs, in college and all that. So now
where'd you go to college?
I went to Brooklyn College. I went to John Jay for 1 year, then I went to Brooklyn. Yeah.
Good.
So, now I'm dealing with different kind of people, and I was getting tired of it. It was a rough place to work as a bouncer, a lot of problems, and I was kind of getting tired of it. So I moved to Hawaii for a year. I met a guy who owned a restaurant. He was a big restaurateur guy. Big bullshit.
You're like, I love it. It's like extreme. You go from Brooklyn to Vegas, now to Hawaii. It's not like you went to Arizona or something, right?
You've been to Hawaii, right?
I have not yet, actually. So I gotta go.
Beautiful place and beautiful people, right?
Yep, that's what I hear.
I stay in Hawaii about a year. This guy, big restaurateur guy, big bullshit artist guy. Big. I'm saying, where's the guy's supposed to take care of, yet he made all these promises. And it was a beautiful restaurant, the penthouse, and there was a band, and I was a maitre d' there, and it was just a beautiful place, and all kinds of people, expensive place.
Right.
And I liked it there, and then I had enough of that, came back to Vegas, and there was a guy, and, along the way, you meet people in your life, right? And they kind of change your life without you knowing. I've never been that guy to go, I'm going to become friends with John because, John could do X, Y, and Z for me.
Right.
I'm going to become Mitch Modell, who's both our dear friend. I'm going to become friends with Mitch because Mitch could do Never been that guy, ever. If I like you, I like you. I don't give a shit what you do. If I don't like you, I don't like you.
Right, right. Listen, that's truism. I mean, that's living your truth, right? That's a good thing.
Absolutely. And so there was a guy. I got a job again as a bouncer when I first got back, and there was a guy, Israeli guy, Davo Dentz, beautiful guy. His family was back in Israel, and he was the front desk manager at the Riviera Hotel. And he would come into the club and he would stand with me. You know, I was at the podium, you know, getting ready to see people, and he would sit. I'd buy him a drink, and we would talk. He was lonely. He missed his kids and his wife, and he was there to
Yep.
work. And just, you know, we just talked, and we became friends like that. And he would come in, and we would talk. Hey, Dove, good to see you. I liked him. He's a nice man, and
Yep.
right. And so by the time I got back from Hawaii, he became the vice president of the Riviera.
Oh my God. How
And
cool is that?
yeah, he became the vice president. And so uh, he found out I was back in town and he sent somebody in. He said, there's a job opening and Dove wants you to apply. So I said, wow, look at this, right? I mean, and I got the job, and I got the job running the Improv Comedy Club. It was a crappy job, 15,000 a year. This is 1986.
Yep.
15,000 a year, and hopefully tips. Back then, you still, you know, you sat people, you got a tip. You know, it was still those days when you
Yep.
think that. Those were some of the biggest jobs in town. A maitre d' and a captain. When you go to a showroom in Vegas in the old days, you have your reservation. You got to give the guy 20, 40, 50, whatever it is, depending on who you're going to see, and they give you a seat. And those were some of the most prestigious jobs in town. Like the Elvis in the showroom. My buddy was making 800 a night in the 70s.
Wow.
Yeah.
But entertainment's never gone away, right? It's always been such a part. I mean, in COVID, you realize how much you missed it, especially you going, right? It's terrible.
No shows and everything. So, you know, I got this job, and there was just a stack of chairs, and they said, here, make a showroom. And I was kind of going by the seat of my pants because I didn't know anything about this. And, you know, slowly the job came around. It took about 6 months. I wasn't making any money. I hung in there. And then it kicked in, and it got busy. Then they gave me 2 more showrooms. So now I was running 3 small showrooms. I
Yeah.
was in charge. I worked. I worked for 9 years, 6 days a week. I didn't want to take a day off for numerous reasons. Things go wrong, you're responsible. Also, the money was good. I was making cash every night. You
Yeah.
know? I was making so much cash. In my first house, I had a safe put in the garage and a workbench with a fake floor in it. No lie. And I
Really?
had the money stacked up. Ready. That's how much money I was making. I would come home at night, throw it in the safe, and then I was getting ready to do another one, and I sold the house and built another one.
There you go.
So became a really good job. Okay, you know, you could set your watch to how much you were going to make every night, and then a new boss came in and he gave me a promotion, which I didn't want because I was making more money
Right.
doing this, but kind of had no choice. He said, you either do this or kind of be gone. So
Right.
now I became an executive. I didn't know nothing. And I learned and did my homework and talked to a lot of people. And I became the entertainment director, and I was responsible for, I don't know, $2, $3, $4 million a year budget of bands in the lounge, 3 showrooms, and then we were doing big acts, the Beach Boys and Drew Carey and David Spade and Dennis Leary and George Lopez and all these comics, Bill Maher, and I could go on and on. Every comic.
How good is that? What a great, you got to meet all these people and learn from them, and right?
Almost every comic, especially now, older guys, because this is in the 80s and the 90s. Joe Rogan, who's I consider a good friend. I mean,
I
Joe.
think the comedy world is such a tight knit world. It seems that way from looking on the outside in.
Yeah,
And
well,
then,
it's different. Yeah, it's different than the rest
but
of
the
the show.
longevity too, right? These people
Yeah,
have been around and they move on to other cool things like you and all of them.
yeah. So now I'm doing this, and then one of the comics said, "Hey, I'm doing this little show. Why don't you come to LA and do it?" I never read a script. I never had any aspirations. I was afraid to get up and talk to people. I was never a shy guy. Don't get me wrong, but I was. I didn't want to go on stage and talk in a microphone. Like
Right, right,
sometimes
right.
the MC wasn't there. I wouldn't go up there and say good night, folks. So uh, I went to L.A. It's going to sound like a cliche, but I went to L.A. and I did this sketch. There was a show on Fox. There were these 5-minute film pieces, and
Yeah.
I did it with. They were all comics and myself, and I read the script and we did it, and I just had an absolute ball. I mean, I just loved it. I flew out. I did it. I flew back, and I was, like I said, very cliche. I kind of was high. Like I went, wow. I mean, that was just, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that.
You felt the flow of it, right? You felt the inside
Absolutely.
thing.
And I didn't know anything. I read it for the first time. I read it, read the lines. I didn't know anything. And so then the casting person there saw me, and I did a couple more of those kind of things. And
Yeah.
then another comic put me in his thing, and in his thing. It was a hobby to me. It was never thought about making a living. It was a hobby. It was fun. Uh, that's what it was for me. And, I pursued it, but didn't pursue it. I kind of diddled around. And if something came along, I would do it. And then once again, I met another guy who helped me. His name was Ray Favero, and he was a casting person in Vegas. And when like a movie would come to town or a TV show, if there was something for me, he would put me up for it, and I would go in an audition.
Yep.
And I started getting these little bit roles, 2 lines here, 3 lines there. Did Chicago Hope, did King of Queens, did the movie Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. There was no pressure. I didn't give a shit. I had money. I was making good money at the hotel. My rent wasn't due. There was no desperation. If I got it, I got it. I'm very competitive. Of course, I wanted it. But if I didn't, there was no big deal. And I think that really helped me at the time because, when an actor needs to pay his bills and he's struggling, you could feel it. I think you could feel it. This was just loose, and I would go in. And then Ray became kind of my first acting teacher, and he would help me. And then I met an agent just as a friend, once again. He would come in. I knew him through another agent. I would comp his room. I would comp his food. He would come in. We would hang out. We'd go drinking, go eating. And he was a pretty good-sized agent, English guy. And I asked him, I said, are you going to help me? And he said, I'll look after you, which means he's not going to sign me. But if there's something comes up or if I get something, he'll
help you out. Right. He'll assist you, guide you.
So he told me that, and then he really wasn't doing much. And then I pulled him up and I said, I really want to try this. And if you don't help me, I'm going to get someone that's going to.
Do you know that's the first time in this discussion from years and years and years that you actually asked for something? Everything you did was happenstance.
Yeah.
One thing happened, and because you just there was no stress, like things sort of flowed
Absolutely
through you. So now you want it, right? Now you got a little bit of the.
Yes, I got a little taste of it. This Ray was a big help, and I got a little taste of it. I did a movie, which is where I probably had an epiphany. There was a director, Adam Rifkin, early on, and he put me in a few things, and he liked what I did. He was a real director. He wrote some movies, real director, real guy. Uh, and he was doing a movie in Toronto. Matter of fact, that's the poster.
Oh,
Detroit
wow.
City.
Okay.
I'm on the poster. That was early on, 1997.
Wow.
And I went to Toronto, and I had a nice little role with real actors. Kevin Corrigan, who's working to this day, he's done over 100 movies, and Natasha Lyonne, who's a big star. And I had a scene with them, and I remember calling my wife back in Vegas, and it was probably 2 a.m. there, freezing cold. I was in a garage playing a mechanic, and I told my wife, I said, I think I can do this. I said, I think I can do it. I mean, that was where these were 2 real actors, and it was a real role. And I went, I think I could do this. That was kind of like
that was your epiphany.
Aha, yeah, like, wow, I'm doing it. So I went to New York for a wedding.
Yeah.
A friend of mine was at my wedding 10 years earlier. He was a writer for Saturday Night Live. And I said, when you get married, I'll be there no matter what. And so I went to the wedding. And as an afterthought, I told this agent, I said, I'm going to New York. See if you can get me to read. Maybe I could get a couple lines on this Sopranos show I hear so much about. And he got me an audition for the role of an FBI agent. And I was staying in the Vista Hotel, which is
for the Sopranos, for the show.
For the show. This is 1999, like May, June 1999.
Got it.
They were starting up for the second season. And so they faxed me back then. You fax, right? You faxed me to audition the sides. And I went up in Midtown, I went up to the office, and it was Christopher Walken's wife, Georgianne. She's the casting director. And, I started reading this role of an FBI agent. She went, no. What is, I don't see you as that. Read this. And she said, what are you nervous for? It's just me and you. There was no one in the office. It was a Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
Nobody was there. It was just me and her. And that kind of calmed me down. And so I read it. She gave me 5 minutes, and I read it. Bacala. She said, we have someone in mind, but here. And so, she looked at my resume. She said, what is this? And I told her, I said, 2 lines here, 3 lines there, And they called me back. They called me to come back to New York, and I wasn't going to do it. And I said, I'm going to go back there. I'm not going to get it. I'm going to have to pay my way, got to put myself up. I said, I told my wife, I'm not going to do it. And she's the one, honestly. She said, why not? You only happy you're doing this. It makes you happy.
She remembered when you called her for the epiphany. She's a good woman. She listens to you.
She said, you're happy when you do this. You work so hard, So I went back. I flew in. I had to fly myself in. They don't pay you away and all that. And right. I flew in, and I flew out immediately afterwards on the red eye. Probably the cheapest flight I could get. I went to Silver Cup. There was hundreds of people auditioning for different roles, but and she called me, the casting director, which is not what you do because you would call the agent, but it was like 8:30 in the morning, and I was in LA shooting something,
Yeah.
That morning. I went right on the flight to LA, and she said, hey, I just got to tell you, you work so hard. You got it. I know I should be calling your agent, but I don't want to. You beat out over 100 people for this role, blah, blah, blah.
Wow, man. That's huge.
Great phone call, right? Great phone call.
Totally.
You're on top of the world. So now I finish what I'm doing. I go to the airport. I call the agent. He tells me not to take it.
Your agent
said, don't take it. They're not going to fly you. They're not going to put you up. They're not guaranteeing you any money. And I said, well, I want to do this. By now, I got such a taste of it. I
Yep.
wanted out of the job. I got tired of the job. As good a job as it was also a job that you put out fires all day long.
Right. It's a lot of stress.
So your happy moments are few and far between.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
because it's always, back then you had the beeper. The beeper's going off 2, 3 in the morning. This
Yep.
guy's unhappy. This guy's pissing in the hallway. This comic is doing this.
No,
This
it's all you are is solving all the crap. That's all you're doing.
exactly. So I said, well, I'm doing it. And I go back and I fly myself, and I've told you the story. I mean, it cost me $24,000. I did 6 episodes that season, and I made $22,000.
Wow.
I had the money. The hotel was very cooperative. I had 6 weeks vacation, and they worked with me. They were very, very nice about it. And I flew back and forth. I would fly in sometimes for a day, and it was hard because you don't know. They never told you if you were in it to the last minute. They never, they switched.
Well, you're on call in a different way, right?
Absolutely.
It's another beeper.
Absolutely. Very difficult. And so we did that. And then I guess they were happy with what I did, and they brought me back the following years and made me a series regular. And they moved me and my family. My daughters were young. I had 2 daughters. They were young at the time. And we moved back to New York. They moved us back. And I wasn't making much money. I took a pretty big cut in pay,
to be happy.
On the way out the door,
Yeah.
at the Riviera, I tell my boss, I said, I could still do this by phone. I still had the secretary there. I said,
Right.
So I got them to pay me for 10 years. I was a consultant. I got $3,000 a month, and they paid my phone bill for 10 years.
Well, that's good. Listen,
right.
You obviously add value, whatever you do, right? That's why these things, because as much as you're not the catalyst of all this, it's all flowing in, which I think is what life really is anyway.
I had an agency. I had owned an agency.
Yeah, you work hard.
I had to do, John, I had to do to make up for it. I had to hustle. So you're making this amount, but I had to find ways to make other money.
Exactly.
I was booking. I had an agency in Las Vegas, and I had a partner, and and we were booking acts and doing things and making some money here and making money there and making money there.
Yeah, you're entrepreneurial.
Yeah, until my role kicked in, on the Sopranos, and then I did the book, and the first book was a huge success. That kind of stumbled my way. They originally wanted Tony Sirico to do a cookbook. And my business manager said, you need to talk to Steve. Tony doesn't want to do it, which he didn't want to. And so, that book became a New York Times bestseller.
That's awesome.
And that opened the door to all these other books. And then I wrote a kid's book. I literally dreamt it. And I'm not kidding you. I dreamt a story up. I woke up in the morning. I told my wife, I have an idea for this book. And I called and I went to Random House. At the time, I just came off the big book. Now they listen to you.
Exactly.
Came off the big book, which was a big, big success.
How many copies? How many copies you sell?
I think the first one sold 80 to 100.
Wow, good for you.
They didn't give me much of an advance on that one, but then the second and third one, I got big advances.
Yeah,
I did the kids book, which I sold to Nickelodeon, and it's a movie.
Wow.
It's a kids movie.
That's so good.
Yeah, it took me 7 years to make the movie, and it's the only movie with myself, Paulie Walnuts, Jim, Tony Soprano's in it, Michael Imperioli's in it, and Johnny Sack is in it. 5 of us. Rita Moreno played my wife, my mother, and I sold it. It took me 7 years, 9 scripts, and we sold it. We got it made, and it's good. It's called Nicky Deuce.
I love that.
Get a kick out of it. It's a kids movie, but it's fun.
When did it come out?
It came out in 2013. It came
Okay.
out. Jim died in June 19th, 2013. The premiere in LA was May 20th. That's the last time I saw Jim. He came to the premiere. Him
That's
and Michael,
amazing.
the premiere, yeah. And it's a fun movie. It's just a kid movie, but we had a ball making it. Uh, so that was good. And then things just, rolled along, and I watch what I do. I'm very careful about what I take. I'm not a fan of the mob. So I played mob guys, but I'm not a big fan of it, honestly. People think it's a joke. I don't find the mob a joke, They're bad people. They do bad things. They don't just hurt each other. People think it's a joke, and they wear jogging suits and cigars, and they run around like this is a game. These guys are not to be screwed with,
Right.
They're nice guys until they're not,
Right.
So, I get offered a lot of that lower end stuff, which I don't do. And then I had a show, ABC for my own show, and Cookie Channel. I did a talk show for Fox Pilot. Some of them went, some of them didn't go. I did 4 seasons for Discovery, 2 different shows. And, then the podcast was a huge hit, very successful. We didn't know what we were doing. We had no idea. We were approached, and then we did it on our own. We owned the podcast.
So you own the distribution, which is good.
We own the podcast, yeah.
Right.
And a lot of people were going, "We'll go with this company, that company," and we were approached, and we didn't like the deals. They were trying to screw us, flat out trying to screw us. And
Right.
we said, let's try it on our own. And so we producer Jeff Sussman and Andy Verderam.
Well, it seems like by listening to your whole life, and what I love about it, every time you're doing something new, it's like I had no idea what I was doing, but you were never afraid to try, fail, try again. And it you had to have huge patience. I mean, I think in the entertainment business, you have to anyway, because like you said, that movie took 7 years. No one realizes the grueling nature of doing what you do and getting things done and actually to the big screen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a very tough. I wouldn't want my kids to do it. Don't forget, I was 41 years old, and I had some money. I wasn't, flush, but I wasn't struggling. And, the first thing I did, because The Sopranos was so, you honestly didn't know if you were going to get killed off, for real. And the more, the bigger your role got, the more of a shot that you were going to get killed off. And so I never bought an apartment in New York. I was, afraid. I had a big house that I had built in Las Vegas, and I paid that off. When I finally started making money, I paid the house off with the theory of, okay, all else fails, we move back to Las Vegas. My house is paid for. Cost of living's much less, and I go back to work. I never, and I had this in my head, I never wanted to be a struggling actor. I don't want to be that guy,
Right.
I don't want to be the guy that's grinding it out and struggling and scraping and grabbing, and power to them. I love them for doing it. It's just not for me.
Right. Right.
This guy's trying this for 30 years, man. It is a lot of luck involved. People, they don't want you to think that, there's a lot of right place, right time.
Well, I think, listen, may not have happened if your wife didn't tell you to get on the plane. And listen, you also made an investment in some. I just think all the attributes of you did something that you felt passionate about. You made the investment in it, knowing it may not work.
Sure.
So as much as you're saying it's lucky, I mean, you were also open.
No, I worked extremely hard. But when
you were open to failing and trying, I mean, how do you get anywhere?
But just also think about it. You meet people along the way in your life. I remember when I was in college, I needed money. I had a girlfriend at the time. I needed money. I was going to go take a leave of absence. I was working for the post office.
Yep.
Down down on Church Street there, you know, the one near the
Yeah.
World Trade Center. I was working graveyard shift, and then I would go to school in the morning. And I went in and I was going to take a leave of absence. And I ran into this professor. His name was Placido Gomez. And he said, "What's happening?" You know, and I told him, and he went, "Listen to me, son. If you take a leave of absence, you will never come back. That degree is worth millions of dollars to you. You will never come back. Please, son." I mean, the guy pleaded with me
Yeah.
to drop out of school. And I listened to him. So you got him, you got the guy Dove Odents, just a fine fella I buy a drink for.
Yeah.
You know, I also find this in life. For me, the people that have helped me were people, for the most part, that I didn't know. You know, I went in to audition for David Chase. He changed my life by giving me a job. Hey, granted, I did a good job for him, but then I was on another series called Secret Life of the American Teenager. Maybe your daughters saw it.
Yeah. I'll ask him.
I was on that for 5 years with Molly Ringwald. They offered me the role once again. They offered me 3 episodes. They wouldn't fly me out. They were paying me, I think, scale. I had the 3 episodes. It was a high school show. I gave them to my younger daughter. I said, "What do you think? Read them." She said, "It's pretty good." She was 13. And that's,
Oh my.
that's who the show was for. It was for
Right.
at that
That's
age.
so funny. She liked the script. I love
I liked
that.
the script. I said, "Read them. What do you think?" So I went in. I flew myself out again. I had a friend of mine owns a hotel on Sunset Boulevard. He gave me the room. Did an episode. I did another episode, and then they offered me a deal and flew me. And I was on that show for 5 years, 110 episodes. Brenda Hampton. Didn't know her from Adam, you know, and that was the big job because coming out of the Sopranos, you know, you needed to get that job and you needed it quickly, the second job. Otherwise, who knows?
Right. Who knows? Exactly.
The big show, and now I get this job within 5 or 6 months. You know, you needed to boom, get back in action. And what I liked was it was just a suburban dad. It wasn't a mob thing.
Right.
So, you know, so I didn't know her. Then I got Blue Bloods. They offered me 1 episode. Money's, you know, top of show, they call it. Nothing with nothing. They offered me 1, maybe 2. I said, "I'll do it." I go in. They give me a second one. I talk to the showrunner, the big boss, Kevin Wade. We talk. He said, "You'd like to do more?" I said, "I'd love to do more." I tell my agent, "Don't worry about the money. Just get me more episodes."
Right.
It was more important for me to be out there more. You know what I
Stay
mean?
relevant.
The money was exactly.
Right.
So I've done 109 episodes of Blue Bloods.
Oh my God.
Came in
Amazing.
I came in for 1, maybe 2, and I've done 109. So I mean, I've invested in myself. I always say I took a shot with the company of Steve Schirripa. You know, I invested in myself where a lot of people wouldn't do that. I was also lucky to have the means to do that. You know, because I could fly myself. I could put myself up. I could take.
Yeah, but you created the meat. Like you, 42. You started this. It's like Ray Kroc at 50, and the Kentucky Fried Chicken guy, the Viacom owner. He was 60,
Yeah.
right? So you know, you say you had the means. You created the means, and you weren't afraid to change and be you.
And that's all I could be, you know, John. I've worked very hard. I have acting coaches to this day. I've always worked with someone. I work very hard. I know what I could do. I can't do it all. I'm not going to be an English professor. You know, I know you want what I do. This is what I do. If you want that guy, I deliver. I come in, I know my lines, I work very, very hard. I don't cause any problems. I don't have an ego. I just do what I do. I consider it just like any other job, like a lunchbox. I bring my lunch pail to work, I do my thing, and I go home. I'm not that interested in, I know a lot of people in show business because I've been around a long time.
You got longevity.
I hang along. I hang around mostly with my family and friends that I grew up with. Regular guys are my friends. Uh, I'm not in love with show business. I like acting a lot. I'm not in love with the red carpet backstage, and I'm not in love. I don't need.
Yeah, how did it feel like when the Sopranos was like gigantic, right? So being on a show like that, which is, how much more famous can something be, right?
Yeah,
A series.
Listen.
What did it feel like? Like when you're walking around?
That was a lot of fun. I mean, the first time people are recognizing you, it's kind of weird,
right?
And it was a lot of fun. And we went to the Emmys 5 times, and the SAG Awards, and you put the tux on, and you're on the red carpet. I didn't like it.
Really?
HBO was great to us. They fly you and your wife out. I got to take my daughter a few times, fly you out, limos and first class hotel, and they treat you fantastic. It's amazing. I would like to go back now. I would appreciate it more now. I mean, here I am out of nowhere. You're at the Emmy Awards 5 times.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
How's it when people recognize you? How's that feel all over the place?
At the beginning, it's a little uncomfortable. I mean, I don't mind it now. 99% of the people are very nice. Hey, I like your work. I like your work. Like your work. You get once in a while, you'll get a overzealous something, or you're with your family. It's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But for the most part, almost everyone's really nice, supportive. Especially Blue Bloods is a huge show.
Huge show.
You've got 10 million people watching Blue Bloods. It's the 4th highest rated scripted show on network TV.
And with longevity, right? Like it just keeps going.
We start July 20th filming our 13th.
What's the other one? Would it be CSI? Like, what are the other big ones?
I think the one on CBS, it's, and
as the SVUs, Law and Order, they're all like huge shows.
Yeah, but Blue Bloods is number 4.
That's big.
Yeah, it's big. The show has picked up steam. It's a great show, great cast. Everybody's great. I mean, I couldn't be luckier and happier to be on that show. It's in New York. Like I said, I've been very lucky. Now, after the podcast, which was an enormous amount of work, and I got to tell you, shooting the show, writing the book, and doing the podcast was very difficult.
Yeah, you overbooked a little bit yourself.
Very much so. And I was pulling my hair out because with this podcast, you had to watch the show. And like I say, when I said we didn't know what we were getting into, we were going at first, we'll do 3 in a day, 4 in a day, blah, 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 blah. You got to watch the show and take notes. And Sopranos is a very complicated, complex show.
Yeah.
It's not an easy show. It's not a sitcom. You go, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
No. Very complicated. So you got to write your notes down. Stop, go, quote, blah, blah, blah. Then I would watch it again. Then we wind up taping the show. It was 3 hours long, the podcast. It was
like you said, you had to. It was a lot to do. I mean, it's not like it's just we're having a conversation. I'm learning about you as a person. I don't have to watch a 3-hour show and then write notes.
It was a lot of work, and it was a lot of fun all over the world. Like I said, over 20 million downloads. It did beyond our expectations. We did 91 of them. But it was time to end it. It was time to end it. That was that. And book.
Listen, it's not the end. It's just something new. Someone else will come up and say, "Listen, I got this for you." That seems like how your life goes. I love it. Maybe I'll have something.
You know what? I think, John, when
Yeah.
Blue Bloods is over, I think I'm gonna come stay here, my house, split my time between here, California, and New York,
Hang
and
out.
just take it easy. I've done
So
okay.
you've done amazing. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Just one quick thing, and then I want to tell, see where we can go see your shows that you have now. So what would you tell you? I love this question for you. If you go back and be 18 again, what would you tell yourself? Like what would be the most important thing, the lesson after listening to you today, would you tell yourself?
Just be who you are. Don't be a phony. Don't try to use people. Don't say, "Well, that guy. I know if I become buddies with that professor, he'll give me an A." Don't do any of that. Be polite. Be nice guy. Unless they're not nice to you, then be a motherfucker. Don't take no shit. But be polite. Look people in the eye, like I told my daughters. Shake their hand. Look them in the eye. Your word is your bond. I'm still a big believer in that. That's why I don't care for Hollywood so much, because these people will sue each other and then go have lunch with each other.
Yeah, they think it's just business is business. It's funny. I was watching that show, The Hack, and they had a whole scene where the comedian was suing the writer, and they're working together. It's just, maybe that was a spoof on that. It could be a spoof.
And I take everything personal. So I'm not a believer in that. Oh, it's just the way they do things. That's not how I operate, So, I just really, your word is your bond, and, focus. If you're going to do it, do it. Don't half-ass anything. You're not going to fake it.
I agree.
You can't fake it, not in this, not in business.
People sense it, especially if you're going to be in front of a lot of people doing entertainment. So where can we see your next shows? I know Red Bank. Where are they?
Comedy and Conversation with the Sopranos. The next one's at Casino Rama outside of Toronto, August.
When's Red Bank?
Red Bank, New Jersey, September 10th at the Count Basie. And then we're in Pittsburgh, October 10th, I believe.
So everyone listening, I went to the show, 2,500 people, 2 hours, 3 hours, felt like 15 minutes. My whole family went. Obviously, there's many Soprano lovers out there, so go see this. It's awesome. And you'll walk out smiling when you're done.
Yeah, and, woke up this morning. It's coming out in paperback. We sold close to 100,000 copies of that. Very proud of that book. It's a definitive oral history of the Sopranos. We talked to 67 cast members, crew members. If you're
it's a lot of work.
Fan, it's a must-have,
I love that. So thank you so much for doing this. I know you have lots going on, and
thank you, buddy.
I appreciate it.
I got a good spot to take you in New York.
I can't wait to see you. All right, have a good one.
Take care, my friend.